All right. So why are we having this special meeting with the whole council tonight? National has introduced and rolled out this year a completely new Recharter process. This is called Recharter 2.0. So the old system, the login codes, all the stuff that we used to do, that system is completely gone. We have a new system that is built upon the framework of My.Scouting and the Internet Advancement System. So you'll see a lot of things in the Recharter system that will be very similar to what you've been seeing in the Internet Advancement System. Now, I am joined tonight by John Bryant. John Bryant has been the district commissioner of our Lost Dutchman district for the last 4 years. He's a great friend and colleague and a real expert on Recharter. And he is going to walk us through some specifics of how the new Recharter system will work. We're going to go through those slides, and then at the end of that, we'll have some open Q&A for anyone that has questions. And I'll add in anything pertinent along the way as needed. But with that, I would like to invite John up to the virtual stage, and we'll learn a little bit about Recharter 2.0. And John, you might be on mute if you're talking.
Okay, is that better?
That's works.
So do you see the Internet Recharter 2.0 slide full screen?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. All right, so this is what National's calling it, is Internet Rechartering 2.0, and available to everyone as a user guide. Outside of some this entire slideshow is nothing but screenshots. So everything is available to you, readily available. And so don't feel like this is something you need to have a copy of the slideshow. I'm going to show you exactly where to find it. Okay, so this is the cover of the user guide. And the first step I want to go to is the elephant in the room. Everybody wants to know, what's it going to cost? And this is taken directly from our council website. So the current national unit charter fee for this Recharter cycle is, the unit charter fee is $75. National youth registration is $72 a piece. Adult registration is $45. Our local program fee, and last year we did something kind of unique where we offered, if you paid online, it was $10 less. This year it is a straight $50 per youth for the program fee, and the adult program fee is $0. One of the great things about that is, as an adult, not having a program fee, I would encourage everyone to take a moment and find the time to at least make a donation of that $10 to the council Friends of Scouting program. It used to be $10 for the adults, and that would benefit the council so much if we could go ahead and offer that to the council. But at this point, the adult local program fee is $0. And as it has been in the past, Scouts Life is an option for all Scouts and Scouters, and that is $1 a month for a $12 subscription a year.
And John, if I can just add one quick point, because this has come to light in the last couple of days, and just to head off questions. When you look online in the system, you're going to see that actually the program fee for youth is $50.04. Why on earth is the program fee $50.04? Well, if you $50 is 5,000 cents. 5,000 cents does not divide by 12, but 5,004 does divide by 12. So they need to be able, the national system needs to have a number that's divisible by 12. And so it's actually $50.04. That's why it's that way. So just as a heads up, if you see that, it's that's the reason. Crazy, but there you have it. So back to John.
Okay, so this is on the council website under the Recharter heading. So it's, if you have any questions and you need to come back to that, this is where you'll find it. The next page is where you can find this user guide. So if right here at scouting.org/commissioners/internet rechartering, if you just Google BSA Internet Charter Renewal 2.0, it'll take you right to this page. Press that gray button right there and it'll bring up a PDF and you'll see exactly the same slides that I'm sharing right now. All I did was do screenshots of each picture in this file. So let's move on from here. The unique move, as Jacob had explained before, this is different than we've ever had before. If you've been in the internet advancement window of My.Scouting, you're going to see a new button if you're a member of the Key 3 or if you are a Recharter designee. So you're going to go into My.Scouting and log into your internet advancement as you would normally do. And you're going to see, as of June 1st, yesterday, this little button right here that says Recharter. Okay. So if you're familiar with this screen, it's going to be right there on the lower left. And excuse me. So you'll click on that button and it'll bring up a page that looks just like this. And it's essentially just a roster of your unit. Okay. As you read the notes here, you'll be able to interpret each person in the in your roster. And from what I've seen through my unit, it will list all the adults first and then all the scouts. So right at the top, you can see on the side here, anything that's got a red dot on it needs to be fixed before you can charter. Okay, or answered. This first column is youth protection. If it's got a red exclamation point, then it says that they do not have current youth protection and they need to take it before you recharter the unit, or they need to be dropped from your roster. If it's green, then they're good to go. If there's 2 dots, they don't require it. And generally that'll be your institution head or executive officer. The CBC is, last year we made a big push for criminal background checks for each adult scouter. If you have any scouters that currently do not have a background check on file, it'll have the red exclamation mark and you'll need to get that before you can submit or remove them from your roster. Okay. Also, the third column where they're all red, that just says that they have not elected to have Scouts Life. And you'll just click on that button if they decide to receive that. Let's see. And that's the end of that slide. One of the unique things about this program versus the former program is there were a lot of menus and you had to go backwards and go forwards and left and right in order to make changes. You have one roster that you're working from, and one of the common things that happens when you recharter a unit is you have adults that change roles in the unit. So what they've done is, for example, this person right here, Brandon Hardy, is currently the charter organization representative, but say there's a new charter organization representative and Brandon's going to become a committee member. All you have to do is click on the pencil icon on the far right, and it will bring up a window and say, this is their primary position, and this is a drop-down menu, and you can reassign their position directly. When you update the information for your roster, that changes. And that will be saved for your Recharter purposes, which is a very unique function. It used to be that all position changes had to be done through council. So this is a great addition to the program. Okay, refreshing your roster. There's a button right here, right at the top of your roster list that says refresh roster. Anytime you make a change and you don't see it immediately, you can click on that refresh roster and it will show you the new updates. One of the things with the former internet plan is anytime you make a change to the scouting roster, position, training, anything, you had to wait till the next day for the system to populate the changes. What this is doing is it's going to make real-time changes. When you close it out, if you don't complete your Recharter at this time, when you close it out, it'll return where you left it. So make sure that you refresh your roster every time, at least every time you make a change. Do you have anything to add to that, Jacob?
No, I think that's pretty right on.
Okay.
I think just to underscore the ability to work on this in real time and update with that refresh button. Someone completes YPT, someone, a person has registered and is now added. That refresh roster will allow you to be working at real time and not lose any of your work as you're going through the Recharter process.
Exactly. Okay, so the next stage of your Recharter process is adding or removing people from your roster. So on the far left of that top bar is manage members. Okay, this will give you a real-time alteration to your roster. Whereas before you'd have to come out of a menu and bring up another window and make your changes and then go back to another window and verify everything was correct. This all happens in real time, and you can add a member directly or remove a member from your Recharter. Okay. So, and as well as marking multiple registrations. In some instances, mainly at the troop level and above, you'll have scouts that could possibly be in the troop as well as a venturing crew. So they have multiple registrations, but they only need to pay one registration fee. So in doing so, they have a primary unit that they pay their registration through, and the other one marks them as a multiple unit or multiple registration. So the fees will drop off that Recharter roster. So when you're ready to add a new member, you're going to get a window just like this, and they're going to ask you for first name, last name, member type, and the position in the unit. And this is a unique thing for this Recharter process. It used to be we had a stack of applications that had to be submitted at the same time as our Recharter. What happens here is you're adding a new member, and you click the add paper application, you scan in a copy PDF, and you upload it to the system. So that documentation travels with the Recharter in digital form. And then you click add member. And so the actual process again is real time. Another option that you have here is, for example, you have on this slide here, you have two adults who have youth protection that are expired. Okay, instead of taking the time to go in individually and upload individually, you have the option of selecting those adults, clicking the upload document button, and you can upload a document for each of those people and hit save. And that will upload a zip file attached to your Recharter with all the pertinent files you need to upload. So you could physically do your entire unit, upload all the documents you need in one file upload, and it's one single simple process. You can put in adult and youth applications, criminal background disclosures, youth protection training certificates, any other background records. You just select the individuals and you check the box by checking the box next to their name and upload in the pop-up window. So very user-friendly, very quick overall. As long as you organize your files together in like a directory that you can just grab them all at the same time instead of having to go search for them, you could do this very quickly. So
one thing to add on to that, I'm seeing a couple of questions in the queue here. Another option here, I mean, everything that you're seeing here works. Another option is if you go in and register a person, youth or adult, online today or tomorrow or any time between now and the Recharter. You can access that if you go to your, if you go to Be a Scout, select your unit, assuming that your unit is set up to take online applications, you just click the Register Now button and you can register yourself, a youth, adult, for that unit. The system will then automatically put that person in real time onto your unit roster while the Recharter process is underway. You can hit that refresh button and you will see them appear, and you will not be charged twice for those individuals. Those people that register will pay when they register and then will show up on your Recharter roster as a $0 member for this current Recharter cycle. Back to John.
Yeah, exactly what Jacob was saying. I'm looking at the questions about will it automatically pull them into from MyDot Scouting? Yes. If they call and they say they completed and you have not submitted your Recharter, open it back up, hit the refresh button, and you can validate that it's done because it will pull it. But many times we've all seen in the past where a new scouter registers, and when they register, they get assigned a new BSA number. So there might be some outside situations where you might have to upload a scanned copy attached to that adult, and then we can resolve the BSA ID numbers afterwards. You know, there is a way to merge those accounts. But again, you need to be very sure before you submit this that everything is done, and we'll talk about that shortly. This right here is the process by which you're gonna upload a zip file version of all your documents at the same time, and you choose the folder when clicking the upload document button. So when you do your renewal documents, you can compress them into one file and upload them all together. Now, one of the differences between this process and former processes is in the past, when you're doing Recharter, it kind of freezes your registration in the unit. You're in a situation where I'm in the middle of Recharter and I've got it open and I haven't submitted it yet. So we don't technically have a new Recharter. And I've got 3 new scouts that have just joined and I have applications in hand. Or I have them wanting to join. Well, you don't want to tell them you've got to wait until August 1st to join the unit. So what you do here is you go to Member Manager and select Invite New Member, or Manage Members, select Invite New Member. And you can send a direct message to the parent or the scouter and say, you add in what type of person, scout or adult, first name, last name, and an email address, and they'll get a link to register. As long as you have not completed your payment for your recharter, they can go in, they can pay their fees online through the normal online registration process, and you refresh your roster and they'll be on your roster. So you could build them into your current roster list, and you don't have to wait until after the recharter process is complete. Okay, so they'll get an email just like this or something like this, and it'll, for example, TrueBlood 18 is waiting for you to join. Click on this link for registration, and when you enter your invitation, it will show you a list of who's in, who you've invited, as well as who's responded. So when you refresh your roster, you can validate that. Okay, now removing from Recharter. If you have someone who's no longer in the unit, somebody that's aged out, or an adult who is no longer serving in the unit, same deal. You go to Manage Members, and you click the tab Remove from Recharter, and if you have their box checked, it will can ask you to confirm that you're removing that person, and you hit remove, and it'll put them on a removed members list. One of the good things about this is this list stays, at least temporarily. One of the questions we had when we switched over to our August 1st recharter date was, I have all my scouts away for summer vacation, and I can't get a hold of the parents to pay for recharter. Well, what I would recommend is that if you absolutely cannot get a hold of them and get a payment from them for their registration, remove them from the registration and add them back after recharter, providing you have enough adults in your unit to recharter, as well as enough scouts to recharter. If you have a couple of families that are not present to get through the recharter process, it's much easier to temporarily remove them and have them do their registration after August 1st than to stop the process of your unit rechartering. So the main focus of the recharter time right now is getting the unit rechartered. We don't want anybody to go past August 1st. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But you can remove somebody from the roster, and at least for a time they'll remain in the system, so they could be reclaimed at any time very quickly. All right, adding an individual back into the recharter after removing them. That removed from recharter list, if say you have a parent that manages to come through just in the nick of time, you can click the Add to Recharter button here from the list of removed members, and whoever you have checked will get added back into your roster. So it's not a done deal when you remove somebody. They are temporarily just reassigned to another category until at least for a short time, probably 60 days. So there is a safeguard against removing somebody that you shouldn't have. Okay. Once you click add, the youth or adult will move back into the unit, and you'll click the roster tab, and it should now reflect the add. Hit that refresh roster button, and it'll show that they're back in the unit, and you're good to go. All right. So once you have gone through the whole process of completing, you can already see that the process here is so much simpler than it used to be. When you when you're looking at your roster, it will automatically calculate in the total column on the right-hand side, not only national registration, but also the Scout Life magazine and the council program fee. So I believe it's $122 for a scout is what it'll say. So that total will all be there. You can see it all right in front of you and the entire process. So if you change one to a multiple registration, it'll drop to 0. And so you're looking at exactly what your costs will be on the right-hand side. Once you're done, you can validate your Recharter by clicking the blue button at the bottom. It says validate Recharter and pay. And if there's anything that's an error, for example, your unit does not have the required amount of leadership positions, you'll have to resolve that. If it means finding a committee member that could step over to be an assistant scoutmaster or whatever you need, or a scoutmaster, in order to fill a role that's missing, which in general, you need a unit leader, a COR, a committee chair, and at least 2 other committee members as a very, very basic unit rule. If you're in a Cub Scout pack, you're going to also need to have somebody assigned as den leaders. So, you know, this will flag it for you and let you know that you don't have the right people assigned to positions.
There's also a minimum of 5 youth
Correct.
for a unit. If you have an unusual circumstance where you don't have that, you can speak with council, but there's got to be extenuating circumstances. Generally speaking, you need 5 or more youth, and then the minimum number of adults, as John said, depending on your unit type.
And this is especially in the case of high adventure units, that a lot of your scouts are multiple registered. For example, I'm a skipper of a ship, a Sea Scout ship, and currently I have 6 active scouts, and they are all multiple registered. But I have the council has a requirement that in a unit you have to have at least 2 paid scouts. So not only do you have to have 5 scouts in the unit, but 2 of them have to be primary in your unit. So just make sure that you accommodate that when you're doing it. So, but this is a warning box that'll tell you what you need to look at. Leaders have completed CBC authorization, your background checks. Leaders have current YPT. And you know, so it'll show you an error, and it gives you a chance to back up and fix it. Once your unit is validated, then you proceed to payment. Okay, and you'll come up to this window right here. Now, this is where I'd like everyone to pay attention very closely, because there are preferred methods of payment, and you need to be aware of it. Okay. Currently, the e-check payment is the national preferred method, basically a bank draft. Okay, so if you have a bank account for your unit, you're going to put in the bank information and do an e-check. Okay, and so National has attached a fee for an e-check of $1. No matter how many scouts you have in the unit, it's $1. Okay. If you opt for a credit card payment or a debit card payment, they are charging 3% of the entire amount of your fees. Now, one of the benefits that we haven't discussed at this point of this new Recharter system is when you fill out your payment information and you hit the blue button in the right corner over here that says pay and post renewal, that's exactly what it means. it means it goes straight to national, doesn't stop at council. So when you make your payment, your recharter is posted with national. Because you should have done all the checks that are necessary that we do at council when we go through all the paperwork. When you hit pay and post renewal, it goes right to national and processes, and within a minimum of a few days, your unit will be rechartered. Okay, some units still insist on paying at council, but what that does is it adds another level to the process that will slow it down, and it causes extra workload with the council people. So in an effort probably to discourage people from using it, if you insist on paying at council, whether it be credit card or by a check or whatever, the council is charging 5% this year.
And actually, let me jump in.
Okay.
That is the fee to register at council is $25 per person.
Wow.
So please do not waste your money. Please pay online. $1 to use an e-check, 3% for a credit card, not ideal. I'd avoid it if you can. Please pay online. You do not want to pay the fees to go through the council.
And another thing that will slow down your recharter process is if any of the paperwork that you uploaded is youth protection certificate has a wrong date on it and is not accurate, it's going to end up back at council, so that you will you'll need to check in and make sure that your unit charters. So, but ideally you've gone through all that, you've made all the checks, and it'll go right to national. But if there are any errors, it's going to be kicked back to the council, and the council registrar will have to work with you to get those items taken care of through the district leadership. So we want you to encourage, I want to encourage you to take the time to really be diligent and make sure your paperwork is accurate, because you could get this done very quickly. But that is Internet Recharter in a nutshell. Are there any questions?
What about AutoPost?
AutoPost?
Yeah, they talked about that in the national training deck.
Well, that is when you hit submit, it goes and AutoPost from national.
Right.
Always before we had to submit to council. Council had to check everything, validate everything, and then forward it to national. Now we're asking you to do the due diligence to make sure that all of the information is accurate. And if you've done your due diligence, then we can skip the council step. And so it will AutoPost via the national system.
But there are some caveats, right?
There are, Don, and just a couple of general points to sort of add on to it. Some high-level takeaways here. I think it was mentioned in the ongoing chat, the most common error and problem that has come up across the country with this new system. And just to note, this new system went live on the 1st of the year. Most councils, not most, but most councils recharter at the 1st of the year. So this system has been through a trial run with many councils. And what we have learned is the most common problem is when you try to add adults through the recharter process. Because when you upload an adult application with criminal background check forms, with youth protection certificates, that knocks it out of the AutoPost eligible category, and it has to run through the old process of being validated by the council before it gets sent to national. So the best way to make this process as smooth as possible is, if you've got adults that you're adding, have them go today online, register online, they'll put through their forms, everything will be checked, they'll pay, they hit submit, they're added to the system, then you go back to the Recharter, hit refresh, they'll populate right into your Recharter, and you don't have any issues. So that is one definite recommendation that we have been told by many other councils to avoid headaches with the new system. One other thing that I want to underscore, a couple things related to payments. Payments are always a stressful issue for people. So just two major points to make on the subject of payments. Number one, as we just talked about, I'm going to say once again, take advantage of the e-check if you're able to do that. That is by far and away the least expensive way to do this process. But one other thing that we haven't mentioned yet and is very important, typically National raises all of the fees every year on August 1st. They've done this now for 5 years in a row. National has not announced as of today if they are raising the fees this year. But if they follow the trend from the last 5 years or so, they will probably raise the fees in the neighborhood of $3 to $5 a person, potentially. Anyone who recharters and is posted prior to 7/31 is guaranteed to pay the current fees as posted on the site that John showed earlier. So for the folks that have been asking, is there any reason I should wait till July? Is there any reason to put off? Definitely not. Recharter as soon as you can. I would strongly recommend that units aim to submit their recharter by about the 3rd week in July at the very latest. That way, your unit will be posted prior to 7/31 and you will be guaranteed to pay the current year's rates. For recharters that don't happen until the middle of August or into September, it's very possible that you'll have to pay whatever National might change the rates to. Again, we don't know, but we would suspect that's probably what's going to happen. So that's just a word for the wise. And on that subject as well, as has always been the situation in the past, the recharter deadline is the 31st of July. There is a period of time after that where you can do a late recharter. But it's important everyone knows that at the end of September, any units that are not rechartered will lapse. That is a substantial problem because then you lose access to internet advancement, you lose access to BSA insurance, you lose access to the online systems. So, strongly recommend that you get your recharter done as soon as you are able. I mean, I've got a unit too. I've done recharter for years. I know there's all sorts of challenges chasing after adults and youth and all this sort of stuff. I completely understand that and empathize. But again, I recommend to do everything you can to get your recharter done as quickly as you can. We are at least fortunate. We've got this new system. The new system looks pretty straightforward. For those of you that have been working in the internet advancement ecosystem for the last few years, the interface should be familiar. Hopefully we avoid problems that way. sort of a long soliloquy, but just a few thoughts there. Back to Q&A.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm looking in the chat here, does the system provide the ability to promote from one program to another, cut back to Scouts BSA Troop, for example? To my knowledge, we've never done a list transfer to a new unit. We've always had to attach an application. So I would just invite them to, or not invite them, add them in as a new leader in your unit and submit a paper application. They should
also you could just do a transfer online in the My.Scouting system and move them over.
That's your best bet.
To you hitting submit on your Recharter, any changes that are made to the system when you hit refresh roster should add them.
Yeah.
Also, Chuck had a question. If the adult registers in June now, do they pay a prorated fee? If a new adult or scout registers, yes, we'll pay the system will assess the last period of time before August 1st, prorated.
However, one thing to add to that actually, and some people may have noticed this, starting actually on May 1st, anyone who registers was charged for the rest of this year. That means if they registered on May 15th, they are charged for half of May, June, and July for this year, and then all of next year. So if someone registers today, they're going to pay actually slightly more because they're going to pay through the end of this year, which is July 31st for Recharter purposes.
You need the workbooks for it? Does it say?
The troop one does.
I'll bring the workbooks. Okay.
Please mute the microphones.
Yeah, please mute if you're not asking a question.
Okay. Well, I guess you can't really go wrong that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Other questions?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I have this is kind of tied into Recharter. We have several scouts actually that are in the process of getting their Eagle that will turn 18 in the fall or December or January. But we have one scout who has his Eagle board. He's turned everything in, and his Eagle board of review is I guess tentatively it's supposed to be July 21st, I believe. His mother is wondering if he still, if he needs to Recharter for the next year. I mean, I'm kind of thinking yes, in case that July 21st doesn't come about, but I guess what are your thoughts?
This is Bill Nelson.
Yeah, I was going to defer to Bill.
For the council.
Yeah.
You do not need to be registered to attend an Eagle Board of Review. You need to be registered to do all the requirements for Eagle up to submitting your application and the Board of Review. So if he's already done all of that other stuff, and he probably has, if he's got a board schedule, then he does not have to register. He doesn't have to Recharter.
Okay, yeah, it's my understanding, I will double check that he has met with an Eagle advisor or whatever, turned his, I don't even really know how they do it these days, but turned his notebook in, all his applications.
Right. And as long as everybody realizes he can't earn anything after that.
Okay.
And he can't participate in any troop outings or anything if he's not registered, because the insurance won't work.
Right, okay. And then her other question, he will be doing an Eagle Court of Honor in the fall with the 3 other scouts that they've actually gone through Cub Scouts together. And so the 4 of them are going to do an Eagle Court of Honor together. he doesn't need to be registered to
It doesn't
have
need to be
No.
registered as
No.
long as everybody understands that insurance doesn't cover him. He's a
any, okay.
guest. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Okay, thank you. That's good information. I'll just pass that along to a couple people and they can all make that decision. So I appreciate it.
Yep. Yeah, and thanks, Bill, for jumping in. That's I knew you would know the answer to that. Who else has any questions we can answer?
Hi, this is Amy Haywood. Can you hear me?
Yes. How are you?
I'm doing well. How's everyone else doing? Looking good. Hey, on that key 3 designation, if they were to designate a person from the troop, is it a matter of just going into my.scouting and
Yes.
going where?
Yes.
Where would they go in my.scouting to do the designation?
Yeah, so when you go into my.scouting, there's the member manager, and there's that, you can designate a key 3 delegate, you can designate an advancement or a training person, you can designate a YPT champion. Any member of the key 3 can go in just like they would do those other delegations and indicate that someone is a key 3 delegate, and that will give
So
them
member management, you said.
yes, in my.scouting.
Okay.
You
Okay,
have,
thank you
you
very
have
much.
to watch out on that though. Certain things only the COR can do. So it would have to be a COR delegate in order to do certain changes, especially leadership positions.
Yeah.
Right.
Of course.
And that's what I was
Of course.
going to share, Jacob, is they just in the last 6 months or so, maybe even as much as a year now, they have a key 3 delegate, and then they also have added a COR delegate. Now, only the COR can grant COR delegate powers, but that is an option as well. And that even helps for a unit that their COR may want to authorize someone to approve online applications for adults and things like that. That one exclusively, as I shared, only the COR can designate that, but it is done through my.scouting.
Very good. Thank you very, very much. Great presentation. Thank you.
So for those
Thank
that
you.
are looking at it, if you're in my.scouting right here, you have one tab at the top, and this is under roster. When you click roster on the right, it'll come up to this window. If you click position manager, registered positions are all the registered positions. I've got names in them, so I don't want to show them. But if you click on functional roles, you have your COR delegate, your key 3 delegates, your registration inquiry, unit advancement chair, training chair, and YPT champion. And you can fill in those functional roles in your unit.
Which one's the Recharter champion?
The key 3 delegate is what you
Delegate.
do for a Recharter.
And all you do is you click the add button, and it'll bring a pull down menu of the people that can serve in that role. So, but that's how that works.
All right. Any other questions? We're at 8 o'clock. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. We're pretty well through the organized presentation, but if there's other questions, we're happy to keep addressing those